What's your favorite "this much of this will kill you" fact? Not kill you, but if you eat too many bananas, like 40, you won't be able to come to my place of work because you will set off the radiation monitors. I was looking to see if someone was talking about this. There is an amount of bananas you could eat that would cause you to die of radiation poisoning. Before you got there, you would die of having eaten too many bananas. An ounce of polar bear liver contains enough vitamin A to kill you. Sure, but trying to take a liver from a polar bear will undoubtedly kill you first. Nutmeg in large, but not nearly as large as you might think doses, is a potent psychoactive that will basically make you go insane. Infamous heroin addict William S. Burroughs wrote that the only people he ever met whom he thought were truly beyond redemption were the nutmeg addicts. Botulism, caused by exposure to botulinum toxins, is super lethal. It takes about 1/1,000,000th of a gram per pound of body weight to kill a person. So if you weigh 200 pounds, just 0.00002th of a gram can kill you. Not kill you, but it would take 40 non-alcoholic beers to get the average person drunk. What country seems dangerous but really isn't? Rwanda is extremely safe. It has a stable government and a low crime rate. That is nuts to me. I'm old enough that a friend of mine in grade school fled the genocide there. I never even thought to look if it's a visitable place these days. It seemed like such a scary place at that time to a small kid that I just never imagined people vacation there. A good reminder to me to check back on my biases every 20 years or so. Geographically, Jordan appears to be in the midst of a danger zone, but it was safe enough to be visited by the amazing race less than 2 years ago. Jordan, surrounded by danger at least. Incredible country, with kind people. I would love to go back. For a lot of older Americans, its symbolism outweighs the changes it's gone through over the past 50 years. A few years ago, my cousin was traveling through Southeast Asia and had to reroute her trip due to some instability in another country, and her uncle and I had a good laugh about how she was like, just to be on the safe side, let's go to Hanoi instead. Yay, most of it anyway. There are dangerous parts of specific cities, but it's not the bullet-riddled, cracked-out wasteland media outlets make it out to be. If you're not in a gang or doing drugs, you're pretty safe. Romania. Seems dangerous, but violent criminality is pretty low. What movie made you laugh from the beginning till the end? Tucker and Dale? Evil. Every single time I watch it, it's a blast. Super Troopers still does it. Super quotable. The Emperor's New Groove. What is the most unorthodox way you know of that a couple has met and fallen in love? One of my cousins fell in love with my other cousin's mail-order bride. The feelings were mutual, so we had a wedding and one very unhappy cousin. My grandparents told me about a woman who met her fiancé's cousin during the rehearsal dinner, night before the wedding. Everyone noticed they spent an inordinate amount of time chatting that night, but no one thought anything of it. The cousin went to talk to the bride just before the wedding, and the two of them left together. They've been married 62 years. When my nephew was in college, they had a snow day, and they canceled classes. The students decided to put on a mock wedding just for fun, and they picked 2 students to get married. My nephew and a girl were chosen. A few years later, they did it again, for real. A guy studied to become a priest, and a girl studied to become a nun. They met, dropped out, and yes, they got married. We knew each other only a little bit, through friends. I was badly injured in an industrial accident. I needed time to heal. I lived alone, and it was dangerous for me not to have someone who could check on me periodically. She happened to be recovering from eye surgery and wasn't able to her job or drive for a couple weeks, and offered me her guest bedroom until I could safely go home. I think it felt safe for her to make the offer. I was pretty much completely incapacitated and barely ambulatory. We had an amazing 25 years before she died. I'll always love her. Very dark, but parents met while investigating a rape. My dad was a police officer, and my mom worked for a rape crisis center. I only heard this from a friend, but I find it hilarious. My friend went to a house party with this dude. This dude decided to wear his Pikachu costume to the party, although it wasn't a costume party. Then he met her at the party. She also wears her Pikachu costume. I met them once. They were super funny. They are married. End of story. What's a backhanded compliment you've received in real life? Someone once told me, "You're so lucky you don't care what people think about you." I'm still not sure if that was a compliment or a subtle insult. My junior prom date said this to his mom. "I know she's not pretty like the other girls I date, but she's great and I really like her. I accidentally bumped into someone at the store. I said, "Excuse me." He said, "There's no excuse for you. Your makeup doesn't look cakey today. Thank you." During my wedding reception, my mom made a speech where she congratulated me for finding my husband despite being weird and independent. She did this in front of everyone at the wedding. People came up to me after asking if I was okay. You're surprisingly smart for someone of your family. If you could only listen to one band forever, what band are you choosing? AM sucks. Weird Al gives me all the hits, kinda. The Beatles, just because I like them a lot and have a varied, interesting catalog of lots of songs. As long as they continue to write and produce new and beautiful hits for eternity. Led Zeppelin. If you wake up and see it's 2050, what are you checking first? I'd Google things you wouldn't believe were considered okay to say 30 years ago. I will at least snooze a couple of times. You can't just wake up after such a long nap. Mirror to look at myself. My bank ack. Edit. Damn, thanks for the upvotes, guys. Please DM me to transfer the upvotes fee. Rolling over to see if my husband is still there. If Nintendo has discounted any of the Switch games. Laws. Incredibly important. I don't break a new weird law and spend years in prison. What was the single best decision in your life? Learning to not be angry, hurt, and bitter, and to simply be done with certain individuals and or circumstances. A little over a year ago, I dropped everything and moved to the other side of the country. Fresh start. I got a great job now. My own apartment, and it snows here. Switched to boxer briefs. Installing a bidet toilet seat. Quitting my highly toxic job and took a long sabbatical by traveling around US in 80 days last year. The decision was compounded by chronic anxiety and depression and a death of a dear friend. I realized life is way too short and decided to live it on my own terms before it's too late. Edit. Thank you all kind strangers for the kind words and support. Much appreciated. What illness isn't usually deadly but is annoying? Anxiety disorder. I go from being fine to wanting to off myself because I'm thinking 5 years into the future or read or seen something that induces it. I just went 7 days without eating a lick of nothing. Made myself so sick to the point of throwing up nothing. I cried so much during those 7 days. I think if I cried again, I just might explode. Oh, and the nightmares. The nightmares never stop. Chronic pain? My daughter has a type called amplified musculoskeletal pain syndrome. Sinus infections can fuck right off. Visual snow? It doesn't go away and turns solid fields of color like the blue sky into a frantic static snowstorm. Even the black of night is alive with static. How true do you think once a cheater, always a cheater is? Some people can't change, some people can. You see way too often someone gets their heart broken when the person that they cheated with cheats on them as well. Other times they simply found their one and the cheating stopped. It's really a coin toss in my eyes. If someone wants to cheat, they most likely will. Yeah, I had a coworker that I worked with for several years, and she would always get a new boyfriend, cheat on the boyfriend, date the guy she cheated with, and he becomes the new boyfriend. She then cheats on him and the cycle continues. It somewhat depends on the situation. Example, 15-year-old kissing another person? I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. 30-year-old sleeping with multiple other people? Probably not. Exactly. There's a big difference between it happened once and I feel horrible, and this has been going on for weeks and I actively lied to you. Always is a strong word. One exception disproves that type of sweeping statement. Exceptions do exist. That said, a typical cheater will have a long story about extenuating circumstances and act as if it was a one-off. And then the next time they cheat, if they can't conceal it, they'll have another set of excuses why that one time it shouldn't count either. Have watched that pattern up close with a blood relative and would never take that gamble in a romantic partner. Once a line is crossed, it is so much easier to do it again. This applies to anything that may illegal or socially frowned upon, and getting away with it only reinforces the behavior. This I know. Well, that's another episode of Ask Reddit in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.